When I was in high school, we didn't have Pearl. We had Premiere. And if you don't know what Premiere is, you'll be fine. You don't need to research it. I'm just kidding. That's not a knock on Premiere. I'm kidding. Everybody relax. My name is Bryan Nungaray, and I am the percussion director at Etiwanda High School. It was 2003 when I first saw Santa Clara Vanguard in the lot. And of course, you know, it's Santa Clara Vanguard, so it's going to sound great. But that was my first exposure to the name of Pearl. And I do believe that when I was in high school, our competitors, Dartmouth, were using Pearl. So my first thought was, well, they sound that great. Why aren't we using Pearl? I guess from a beginning state, that's where I first got the emblem Pearl Adams. Coming to Etiwanda High School actually is the only school that I believe that I had access to Pearl and Adams equipment. I think any scenario that we are in a high school setting, we inherit that equipment. So I believe my love now for Pearl Adams was maybe somewhat Stockholm Syndrome, but not really. It just more so I grew to love the equipment, and obviously being more experienced in the activity, I was able to hear and see the difference. I think a lot of the schools on the West Coast, we don't have the same budgets as the Midwest and Texas, and our money shift a little bit differently, where I think that the financial burden lies on the boosters. And I know there's programs out there that have been very fortunate to switch out their drums, you know, every 5 to 10 years, or maybe even less than that if they're extremely fortunate. But for us, we bought these Pearl drums back in, I want to say 2007, 2008. We were due for them in 2015, but just like any high school, we weren't in a situation to spend, you know, $20,000 to $25,000 on brand new equipment. We were blessed by the Carey family. It's a current student whose parents' company wanted to endorse us, and we said yes. I'm most excited about not having to do so much upkeep. And I think every year I've had to make check marks and double checking the equipment. You know, it's like double check the tape on the tape. And just going back and forth and always having to either upkeep or upgrade, because it just wears off. So I think having the brand new equipment, I know for at least a good 5 years, I don't have to worry about checking up on it. For the most part, as long as the kids don't light the drums on fire, I think I'll be fine. That only happened once, but it's a long story. I won't talk about that person. It was me. I'm just kidding. I know that when I ordered the drums, I was very specific that I wanted to be different, only because it's an investment that we're gonna be with for a very long time. So I said, I want a design that nobody has. It's like, well, I'm warning you, if you do this, it's gonna take at least, worst case scenario, a year to get them. Best case scenario, 6 months. So obviously worst case scenario is always this scenario. So we waited about 14 months. So we should have had these drums way a long time ago, but I didn't want a stock version. So I know that I didn't want to use red. I think from the Etiwanda, obviously I wanted to stay true to the Etiwanda colors between black, red, and gold. And we've already done red, and red is such a unique color, and it's great for the marching band and it fits well with the uniform. But when we get into indoor, now that indoor has been so diverse and just color palettes and everything that we're doing, red was a hard color to function, as well as having to spend money on wraps and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that I wanted the drums to be black. Thinking about it, it's like, well, I want to be different and maybe have a little bit of more detail. It was supposed to be obviously silver on black, but the battery caption head, Justin Carpenter, was like, what if we did powder? Did I just say it? What did I say? Powder. Powder coating. Black powder coating, and I was like, absolutely not. I just felt like it would be too much. Like, like when we pick an outfit, we don't just choose all one color. So I was very worried about it. But then obviously I said no, and I said absolutely not. And then sure enough, a no always means I send an email out. So like, hey, can I see it like this? So he sent a pic of what it would look like, and I was sold. I think it looks so clean, and the black on black will also be very transferable for indoor, where black is a mutual color. So it's gonna save us probably thousands of dollars on wraps, knowing that we can just let the true color just shine. The 14-year wait, the $25,000 investment, why hide that? So I give all that credit to Mr. Justin Carpenter. I was very nervous until I opened up the drums 2 weeks ago, and I was like, please don't let this be buyer's remorse or somebody else's buyer's remorse. And I think it was the first time in my life where I opened something up and I was completely content. I wasn't like, oh, well, it was everything that we wanted and we expected. Why sign like a company with Pearl? To be honest, it's customer service. I think there's so many great companies out there between Yamaha, Pearl, Mapex, Majestic. It's all amazing equipment. To be honest, I not that I could have sold, I could have picked between any of them. But I think once we deal with these companies that we are constantly having conversations with, we are constantly spending money. We don't want to see just a receipt. We want to see people's faces and people's voices. I believe in 2017, when Etiwanda went to WGI finals and we made it, it was a crazy experience because we came into PSO and we were expecting to win PSO. But then they're like, nah, I think you're going to go to world class. And I think we were bumped up the last 3 weeks. So obviously in our hearts, we're like, we'll just do anything to make WGI finals in the world class setting. And we did, and we got 6th. And then after we performed that weekend, just tons of texts and emails and people approaching me after awards. And one of those people was Kevin Geis. And it's like, hey, I know you were all using Pearl Adams, but we want you. So obviously in the conversation with everybody, it was a process because it takes time. Being on the phone with everybody, I think my selling point with going with Pearl and Adams is give me your personal cell phone number. And if they're okay with that, and I just do a little bit of tests, be like, hey, look at this fun cat that I have, and they're totally okay with that, then they are definitely, they know they want me as a customer, and they know that I want them as a retailer. So I'm very happy with that decision. And that choice to be also an artist, it was a huge blessing. So I think it goes both ways, where they saw something in me and I definitely see something in them. And there's so many thank yous, it's crazy. Like, I know I do want to thank all the battery kids that have just endured. I know, like, when it comes to it, like I think I can even name off the top of my head, like between like Jacob Carroll and Quade Ferguson. Those names come to recent, and I'm saying their names as a thank you because they're the ones that had to scotch tape and figure all this stuff out. When they come to me, it's like, hey, my snare drum's broken in half. I'm like, can you just figure it out? And sure enough, they came back the next day. I was like, how did they even do that? So I know that they had to endure a lot of troubleshooting, which is obviously great on them. And they were the go-to guys. Like, hey, my drums, it's on fire. It's like, go see Quade or go see Gary, or I'm sorry, Jacob. His nickname is Gary. So obviously a thank you to them, and obviously all the students, obviously, and also Andrew, who's videotaping. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. So the ones that endured, and because they knew, it's like, this is what we have, this is what we're gonna make do. So I know they might be a little mad or a little jealous, but I know that they're also happy to see that these kids are blessed with something that they never had. So it goes both ways. I think also all the parents that have made generous donations, I want to say thank you to them, because I know the Carey family made a huge donation, something that's very unheard of, and it's very, very rare But I know that there's been a lot of families that have donated so much money and so much of their time, more than you would think, like, you know, $3,000 to $5,000 donations that have got us to get new speakers, you know, or get a new keyboard. And the fun part about all those donations, that it was completely under the table in the sense that it would just like, I would show up to rehearsal and be like, hey Bryan, we just bought you the new speakers. And I was just like, only Etiwanda, in a good way, you know? So thank you to the entire program. I think ever since, you know I got here in 2010, but it never started with me, and it's not going to end with me. So the legacy of Etiwanda since 1983, it's a very long time. So this is just a representation of success and blessings, and it should be shared with not only the present, but all of the past, and as well as a reminder for the future.